Hello, hello. Welcome to my workshop called Mastering Vibrato and Tone. My name is Lynn Kuo. I am the Assistant Concertmaster of the National Ballet of Canada Orchestra and the founder of Violin with Dr. Lynn, where I coach advanced violinists how to master their instrument and become confident on stage. So today we're going to be going into part 2 of my previous vibrato workshop, which I had done many months ago. So this workshop is more geared towards more advanced violinists, for those of you wanting to deepen your expression and increase the depth of your vibrato palette so that you can make your phrases have more nuance and you can demonstrate more of your artistry, whether it's in your performances, your recitals, or in orchestra at work, or in your auditions for jobs. So today we're going to be covering the number one vibrato mistake that dulls your tone and expression. We're going to cover the biggest tip that I have for releasing your sound and also making your vibrato more free. We're also going to discuss what audition panels are going to be looking for when you are playing behind the screen when it comes to your tone and your sound. And I hope that you will stay to the end because I have a special guest who is going to be joining me and helping me demonstrate some of these concepts, as well as a Q&A session, which I will open up to you so that you can ask me any of your vibrato questions. And I will also be sharing a special invitation for any of those, for those of you who want to work with me. So in the meantime, while we're about to get started, I would like to get to know you a bit better. Hello, David. Hi, Kendra, Kenya. David, how goes the flood? Well, yeah, it's dry. Thank you for asking. The flood is dry now, but my home is still a complete mess. I'm not going to show you my home because it's a complete wreck. My students know. I think I show my students. Hi, Walter. Oh, there's Chris. Hi, Chris. Hello, Karina. Thank you. I look nice in yellow. Thank you. Awesome. I never liked yellow, but I thought I'd experiment with yellow, and I think I'm okay with it now. Okay, please do me a favor. Type in the chat. I'd like to get to know you a bit better. What is your biggest question or concern about vibrato? So maybe I can get a sense of what you have in your mind so that I can tailor today's free workshop around your questions, okay? Let's see. Hi, Julieta. Thanks for coming. Okay, I want to see your questions. So in the meantime, let's see. We are going to be diving into a bunch of repertoire that I want to demonstrate. I will forewarn you that I won't be going into vibrato exercises. I'd cover most of them, that the ones that I teach are on my YouTube channel. So I do have an entire playlist, and I also have my previous workshop on vibrato, which was called Mastering 12 Tips to Improve Your Vibrato Tone. I'm going to link that in the chat for you here in case you missed it. And it also comes with a handout. So I will send that handout in the link. It's up top, but I'll send it again. This handout will share with you the 12 tips that I think will really help develop your tone using your left hand, okay? So we will be taking some of those concepts and building that into the repertoire and seeing the variety that we're going to find in your phrasing. Okay, let's take a look. Good questions are coming up here. How to develop different speeds, okay. My main issue is keeping the vibrato consistent through a tune or longer notes, then the tension takes over. Okay, good, so that's tension. Alexandria, hi. When vibrato is the driver versus sculpting with the bow. Okay, let me think about how to answer that. When vibrato is the driver versus sculpting with the bow. Okay, I think I know how to address that. Ellen, how to loosen up the left hand to prevent vibrato being too fast or inconsistent. Perfect. Yes, I will be addressing these questions. Great questions. This is perfect. Maria, fourth finger vibrato. I knew someone was going to ask me about fourth finger vibrato in the upper register, and also vibrato with double stops and not tensing up. Thank you for that excellent advanced question, Maria, because that's definitely on my mind too. Grace, knowing when to embellish a note with vibrato versus when to let it just ring plainly. That's an excellent artistic question. Ying, how to make a good violin sound. Okay, good. These are good questions. So let me start with my notes here. First of all, I'd like to address, what do audition committees look for in your sound? And I typically work with violinists who are gearing up for auditions. Okay, so what we're looking for is train you to sound your artistic best. So there are many, many things to consider when you're playing it for an audition. But let's just focus on one sliver of your playing, which is sound. Now, in my previous vibrato workshop, I addressed the concept of sound, and it comes mainly through your bow. And I did cover a whole 1 hour workshop, or maybe an hour and a half workshop on bow technique. So I invite you to find that workshop, the replay, on YouTube as well, because when we take the bow, we create the sound, and then the left hand is what I call the makeup, the mascara, the lipstick, the blush, even maybe concealer to put on top of your sound. So today's topic, we're going to be discovering what you can do with your vibrato to add makeup to your basic sound, which is created by your bow. So when we talk about what audition committees are looking for, what they're hoping to hear is a general sense of your artistry. Obviously, they want you to demonstrate great rhythm and pulse, beautiful sound, which is going to be what sound is going to make you part of. And then we're looking for your sense of style, your sense of phrasing. So when we talk about sound specifically and your artistry, can you demonstrate that you have a variety of sound, nuance inside each of your notes, which creates a variety of phrasing? Are you the type of player capable of creating a phrase which the conductor will want to shape in the concert? Okay. Do you have the capability of showing a very wide palette of tone, color, sound, expression, and nuance? Because if you're able to do so, they will want to put you inside of the orchestra, because you will be a contributing artist to the overall sound. Okay, so that is going to answer the question of what are audition committees looking for, listening for. Can you demonstrate a wide range? Now you're going to ask, how do we get that wide range? It's through practicing the exercises, and we can do that through a couple of things that I might cover briefly today. Again, I won't focus on exercises today, but we're going to take some of the concepts and how we're going to apply it to repertoire. Now, another thing that I want to point out is when audition committees listen to your playing, they're also listening, can you apply the right kind of sound and character and vibrato for the style of the music? I've coached a bunch of violinists in my VIP coaching program, which I will mention later today. And I have seen people with beautiful technique, but they have, let's say, one kind of vibrato, let's say a very thick arm-based technique, arm-based vibrato technique, which creates a certain sound. Maybe it's very good for very Brahmsian or very rich. But when you get to Mozart, if this is not the sound you want from Mozart, it's not the right sound. So unfortunately, these kinds of details, stylistic choices, can earn you demerit points. So this is another question about how do we apply vibrato from an artistic standpoint appropriately to the style. Is your Mozartian vibrato and Beethoven vibrato more on the classical side? Is it too thick? Is it too rich? Is your vibrato too thin for one style? Let's say Shostakovich demands a laser. You need this kind of, and let's say the conductor wants that kind of sound. Are you able to deliver it? Okay, so this is a question I'd like for all of us to start thinking about when you start practicing. It's now going to trigger more of your artistic sensibility. And this is going to develop and distinguish you from other artists that are, let's say, in the circuit, or let's say if you're taking an audition. Okay, let's see. What was I going to say next? Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is that the one thing that's related to this topic is what's important to know is when you have one kind of vibrato throughout every style. This is what I call the number one mistake that violinists make that will dull your tone and expression. It's to have only one style, one speed, one kind of vibrato. Okay, so whether it's, let's say, some people say, I only have an arm vibrato. So if you use this one kind of vibrato through everything, then unfortunately it's just going to become a little bit dull. All right. Or let's say you only have a motor nervous. One speed, one style. Okay, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So we want to be able to control your speed, amplitude, and also the tone color, which we're going to talk about with your fingertips. Okay, so let's see. Where am I going to start with this? So let me talk to you about a couple of examples. So, for example, in Brahms' Second Symphony, okay, Brahms' Second Symphony, the opening. So the one, let's see, the type of vibrato that we're going to go for this piano dolce opening. One, two. Sorry, I played the wrong note. Anyhow, the vibrato that we're going for is a certain type of calm vibrato. We want this tone and the style of this excerpt to be calm. So when I was coached on this excerpt, I was told to keep the vibrato loose and relaxed. Okay, so this kind of vibrato would suit this excerpt. But let's compare it to another Brahms excerpt. So Brahms' Fourth Symphony, the third movement. Very different, isn't it? Okay, does everyone hear how different that tone is? Yeah? Can everyone maybe type a yes, maybe a thumbs up, something like that to tell me you understand the difference between these two excerpts. And one is a certain type of vibrato matched with obviously the bow quality, and one demands a more rich sound. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you so much. So thank you, Diana. Thank you, Julieta. Okay, so this is really important for us. Hi, Michael. Nice to see you. Okay, Walter. Walter's going to kill me for all the slides and the glissandi. Haha. Walter's already messaged me a couple times about my slides. Okay, so when we talk about vibrato, let's talk about Mozart. The Mozart Fifth Concerto. So this kind of vibrato that I'm starting off with, I think of this more like an opera singer. So do you notice that when we talk about vibrato, remember I said the number one mistake we make is to have one speed, one style. If you notice really, really carefully, any long note, this may answer some of your questions about what to do on a note, long note. Did I see a question here about that? When to embellish a note with vibrato, when to let it just ring plainly. This is, okay, maybe this will answer Grace's question, okay? When to embellish a long note. I think a general rule of thumb as an artist is to consider that most of the time, not 100% of the time, most of the time, any long note that exists in music will never stay flat. And this is what I was referring to when you keep one style of vibrato and never change it, never vary it. So the first note of Mozart Fifth Concerto, if I did a vibrato that was exactly the same speed, throughout the same vibrato throughout the entire duration of the A. Maybe I'll continue through the phrase. Same vibrato throughout the entire first three notes. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, so I mean, it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. I mean, but I think we can go a little bit more sophisticated with the expression. Hi, Tyler. Tyler was in my VIP coaching program. It's good to see you here. Okay, so what can we do with an example of this kind of opening phrase of a concerto? If we wanted to develop the phrase with an arc, remember, no long notes ever stay flat. Very rarely. There's always some kind of shape, arc, nuance, or let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? Organicness about a note. So let's say I want to grow through this phrase, first three notes I want to grow. We would start a little bit less intensely and okay, that's just one example on one note. Does everyone see how I started the first note? Okay. What did I do? The intensity of the vibrato was a little on the low side. If we're going to quantify it between 1 and 10, I started at maybe 1.5 or 2. 1.5 intensity. So then the intensity of the vibrato started to increase in excitement, meaning the speed increased. Everyone see that? And perhaps the amplitude as well. Speed and amplitude are separate variables. All right, does everyone see that? Yeah? Give me a wavy, some kind of emoji that tells me you see what the difference is. So go ahead and type in your emojis while I play. Thank you, Karina. Now, I know I'm cheating with the bow. Okay, so Grace, this is kind of an example. Thank you, Julieta. So this is an example of, you can't really divorce the bow from the left hand, but I will try. Okay, so it might answer your question. If I take away any vibrato, we can start to shape this A major phrase without vibrato. And then I hope that will answer your question, how much vibrato do you put on top of the bow? 0 vibrato first. That's my bow giving the shape. Also my bow giving the shape. That's also, I'm starting to decrease the intensity of my phrase, but 0 vibrato. And you hear that diminuendo, but that's done with my bow. Now, as I mentioned at the top, vibrato is like your makeup, your cosmetic, your mascara, your blush, your lipstick, lip gloss, eyeshadow, eyeliner. What can we do with this beautiful foundation of the bow? You can start to color. Okay, now. Okay, I'll keep my bow speed exactly the same so you can hear what you can do to play with your left hand. Try these variables at home if you want with me. Keep the same bow speed, even bow speed, and then vary the vibrato. Same bow speed. Let me see if I can do this. Same bow speed, little vibrato, and as I increase the vibrato, same bow speed. Oh, it's a little wobbly. Let me try it again. This is a slow vibrato. That's too slow. What if I increase it to hyper speed? Huge difference, right? Huge difference. So just the same, using the same bow speed, but using a very different speed and amplitude of your vibrato, you can change the nature and the character of your opening. So you can be very wild and tight. All vibrato, no bow speed change. Yeah, or can be slow and low. Or chill, relax. My bow speed, I'm trying to keep the same. You see a huge difference? Okay, now I'm going to show you how we go from, let's say, low and slow to intense, right? And I'll try to keep this bow speed exactly the same. So slow and low. Intensifying the left hand. Oh, my bow is shaking because I'm trying to go motor with my left hand. I like this emoji. Thank you, Karina. Woohoo! Lipstick. I love it. Okay, Metal Kittens is here. Hi. Okay, I love it. Thank you for joining late. Better late than never. Right, does everyone see the fun possibilities that you can do with your left hand? Now, this is going to come with practicing your exercises. Now, vibrato exercises. So go to my YouTube channel. I have an entire playlist on the 7 best vibrato exercises. That seems to have done very well. People seem to find those exercises very helpful. But I'll share with you one quick tip. This is actually two of my favorite tips that have helped me the most. I have 7 of them on my channel, but I think 2 of them are my favorite ones that have really helped me develop my sound. So the first one that I'm going to mention now, I would say, is what is called the distal joint. I'm pointing to the first crease in the fingertips. This is the joint they call the distal joint. Making this joint very supple is going to start developing the quality of your vibrato the most. I have felt that. I have discovered that by working on let's say, the flexibility and the range of motion in this joint has really transformed my sound. So the easiest way to do this is without your instrument, while you're waiting for something. Maybe, I don't know, you're watching TV. Okay, you're just going to do this. Yeah, you're just increasing the range and flexibility. I've gotten to a point where my pinky is so flexible that this is my right side. It's really stiff today. I could barely get it down. I've worked on the left side so much that my right side is stiff. See, my left hand goes bleep, bleep, and my right side goes, ugh, ugh. So this is me working on my distal joint for a very long time, okay? And that has really helped me increase the lushness of my own sound. And I do think it really helps because, let's say, a couple years ago, I was during the pandemic working on my sound, my vibrato, and then when I returned from the pandemic, a TV producer, radio producer, heard me play, and he said, "Did you get a new violin?" And I said, "No, I didn't. I was just working on my vibrato." So this is one of my favorite tips. So this is the distal joint, and you can do this on your instrument as well. This is the exercise I have in my YouTube video called the knuckle collapse. So this is, here, I'll go on this angle. So let's say it's third finger, all right? So right here, pointing to this finger here. We're just gonna use this finger. You're gonna practice collapsing the knuckle, going back up. Collapsing the knuckle, going back up. Let's try a different finger. C sharp maybe? Doesn't matter what pitch. So you have a square fingered tip here. Gonna collapse the knuckle, come back up. Collapse the knuckle, come back up. If you want to do it with your bow, you can do it with me. First finger, and let me go up here, here. Collapse this knuckle. Okay, now, fourth finger is a different matter altogether, isn't it? So fourth finger, let's try this one. Yes, you can do the same thing. But the thing is, fourth finger vibrato is a little complicated when we get up high. Okay, so I'll cover that at the end, how I handle fourth finger vibrato up high. It's going to be a bit of another topic of discussion. All right, does that make sense? Give me a finger emoji, hand emoji if this is speaking to you. Let's see, what does Karina? Oh my God, my pinky's distal joint won't budge. It's all those years of my instructors telling me to round my pinky, perhaps. Oh well, maybe. But you saw mine. My right hand was kind of stiff, right? Mine was a little bit stiff. So give it a shot to see if you can encourage that range of motion. Oh, metal kittens, where'd you get that cool emoji? I want that emoji. That's super cool. Yay! Oh, I love your emojis. Hi, Kendra. Thank you for that. Okay, so that's what I would work on, and that totally changed my sound. My second favorite tip on how to transform the tone and range of your vibrato is to make sure that your vibrato is not tight. So this might answer people's questions about how come I have a tight vibrato? What can I do about it? I've noticed that my tone and my own vibrato has been quite tight over the years, and I have not liked it. So I continue to struggle because what happens with me when I want to express myself, I've discovered that I press when I want to express. And when I press, my hand gets tight. So I've continued to work on loosening when I want to feel the music. When I feel the music, I want to loosen. So one of the things I listen for or feel is this, the thumb. My number two tip is to make sure your thumb's free. So when you have, let's say this, make sure you're not squeezing with your thumb. Once I squeeze with my thumb, you'll see the vibrato. Oh, it just kind of feels very uncomfortable. Okay, so once I loosen this, let's see what happens. Okay, do you hear this difference in the tone? Has the tone changed? Yeah, give me an ear emoji or ear, right? Pretend ear. You hear the sound change. Let me tighten the thumb. Okay, oh, sorry. Let me get back on screen. Tight thumb. You can see it? I'm pointing here. You see how tight my thumb looks, okay? Boy, that doesn't look good at all. Okay, let me loosen the thumb. I want you to listen to the tone. Loose thumb. You hear that the oscillation, the amplitude has gotten wider, and the sound sounds more open. And you can also hear the sympathetic resonance out of my own open D string. Yeah? I hope everyone hears that. Okay, so my number one tip was the distal joint. My number two tip is the thumb. So when you can, check in with the thumb. And I think the best tip that I have learned from a friend, actually, thank you for these emojis, I love them. This is the best. I love emojis. Emojis are my favorite. I want to share with you the best way to soften my thumb is to picture that the meat of my thumb down here, the meat of this thumb is like raw chicken. Picture a chicken breast on your cutting board. When it's raw, it's not cooked, it's floppy, it's kind of pink. Can you imagine that? Try that now. Okay, just play any note. Picture this thumb like raw chicken breast, not cooked. Don't overcook it. Yeah, tough chicken breast when you overcook it so it's super dry, super hard. Try a one note. I don't know. Let's try this one. Make it hard, overcooked. There. That's my overcooked chicken breast version. And then I'm going to make it raw, or maybe it's frozen chicken breast. Yeah, frozen chicken breast becomes thawed out chicken. Here we go. There. Sorry, I'm not showing you my thumb. Raw, sorry, unfrozen. Now I'm going to freeze the chicken breast. See, do you hear the difference the sound makes? It is huge, huge difference. Yeah, I hope everyone hears that. So if you're going to walk away with anything today, it's to remember the distal joint and developing the range of motion, the flexibility, the range of the joint, and also the thumb, because it will make a huge difference. These 2 points alone will totally transform your tone and your sound. Okay. Now, let's go on to the next question, or the next point I want to talk about before I bring in Vita, who's going to help me demonstrate a couple of things in real repertoire. Okay, what are my notes here? So the next thing that's really important for developing your tonal variety, it's going to depend on your level of artistry. And this is not a technical thing. It's a musicality thing. It's an artistry thing. So it's a matter of developing your own artistry and the depth of your musical interpretation. How do we do that? Because how you're going to develop your vibrato, it's going to come from what you hear in your desired interpretation. Your desired interpretation is going to come from a depth of musical knowledge, listening to many artists, studying recordings, understanding the range of composers and styles that exist out there, and seeing and hearing how you can replicate that style, that sound, that inflection, that expression, or, for example, listening to singers. Yeah, a lot of the time I want to emulate an opera singer. Let me give you an example. My tip for you today is to start really listening, doing some deep, deep listening of your own sound. Let's give you an example of, let's see. Okay, let me start. Let me see. Okay, let's look at this example here, the third finger here. What did I do on this last note? Okay, I'm cheating a little bit with the bow because the bow is doing some speed, differences in speed. But there is a difference in what I'm doing with the intensity of my left hand. So I'll give you an example. The first three notes. So you see here that the vibrato actually started a little bit less and then got sped up in intensity. So that's one example. So you can do a slower. I'm also doing with my bow, if you notice. So that's one example. Now, if you notice that when I'm in this part of the bow is quite light, like this. And if I add, let's say, a shimmery left hand, then that creates a certain color. So you're combining your basic bow technique with makeup. So there, light bow with shimmer. And this is quite a big oscillation, all right? So you can try this at home if you like. So what you can do is go for, let's say, a light sound with your bow, and then go for a wide vibrato, see what it does. This is slow. Then you can make it faster and see the difference in color it makes. Then you can start making it narrower. Very different. Okay, let me show you the difference with the different, same phrase, different vibratos. Okay, let's do skinny vibrato. I'm trying to make this as skinny as possible. Very different emotion out of this skinny, fast vibrato. Skinny and fast. Skinny and fast. Okay, do you hear the difference? Right? This is your choice in let's say, expression or character or mood. Now, let's say I do the first type of vibrato that I did with the Brahms Symphony No. 2. Low, slow, relaxed. Low intensity, I mean. Low and relaxed. Very different character. It's more chill, right? Super chill. Yeah? Bart says I had a Cheshire Cat vibrato. Totally. Yeah, very. So now let's take a look at vibrato number 3. So let's make something a bit richer. So even that one has a variety in one note. See what I did? I mean, I'm cheating a little bit with my bow. Let's see if I do one speed with the bow. So you can look at my bow. Look at my left hand. So you don't necessarily want to do that all the time, starting with this and go, because that's one of the mistakes I talk about in my YouTube tutorial called the top 5 mistakes violinists make in vibrato. It's the start, stop vibrato. Start, stop. Yeah, you don't want to make that mistake either. Okay, so we want a continuous vibrato, and I've talked about continuous vibrato too by practicing your, let's say, scales and double stops. You see, I want you to take a look at this. Second finger, third finger. Second finger, third. They're both down together. And now I'm practicing now. You see the 2 distal joints. I've practiced both. Look, if I want to do my distal joint exercise, knuckle collapse, knuckle collapse, knuckle collapse on 2 different fingers. And what I can do is take the second finger, this one, put it over to the double stop here. So this is going to help answer the question that someone asked about double stops. You're going to practice this double stop, and at the same time try to soften your chicken breast as much as you possibly can, even though double stops are more tense by nature. And then try the knuckle collapse. Soften the thumb. And I hope you can see that I'm getting more range in my amplitude. Yeah? Oh, let me get rid of that. There we go. So obviously this is too wide, but you can see that the amplitude is coming. So this is how we're going to get a little bit of a richer sound. And this gets you a bit more richness. And this is going to come in handy when you get down to the G string. Okay, so let's say... There, that's a lot of amplitude. Now, my next tip about getting a little bit of a richer sound. For those, for the repertoire that you want that demands more, let's say, fat, luxurious, fat, rich sound, one of my favorite tips too is to look at how much flesh you're putting on the fingerboard. See, we're taught to play with tips, which is good. If you notice, if I play on the tip here, same phrase, I'm going to play on my tip, you see here. I'll try to play this on the tip. Versus flat, a lot more flesh. So all that flesh, real estate, the pad of your finger, let's listen to the difference that this can make in your sound and character. Flat. everyone hear that difference? Yeah? If you do, show me an emoji that shows fat. I'm not sure what emoji that would be. Peach. Peach. I think of the fingertip as a very, very ripe peach. So that ripe peach helps get me a lot more flesh out of my sound, flesh out of my finger, pardon me, and more depth in my sound. So when you want a more round sound, go for the flatter. Yay, I see a peach, I see peach, I see peach. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's now your palette. If you want a skinny sound, go for fingertip. If you want a fat sound, go for flesh and peach, okay? So what piece is this, Kendra is asking? This is Hebrew Melody by Joseph Achron. And I'm going to be playing it in Poland next month. Yeah. Yay, so many peaches. Great. So another sound, let's see. We have peach, we have skinny. Let's see, what else can we talk about? I was going to say something. Now, what was it? So, what was I going to say? Can't quite remember. Cannot remember. Okay. In the meantime, what we're going to talk about is how we can apply this into a real piece of music and not me playing it. I would love to have someone help me. This is Vita, and Vita's illustriously warming up in the back. And once she comes online, I want you to give her tons and tons of love. She's broadcasting from San Francisco, where I just was, and we hung out together. We worked on some excerpts together, and she's super fun and super cool. And I want you to show her a big heart emoji when she comes on, okay? All right. Yay for Vita. Hello.
Hi.
This is from San Francisco. Yeah, we had a great time. See, we got some love for you already. Karina, thank you so much. Oh, Maria's got a peach for you. We got Joyce. Hi, Joyce. Nice to see you. nice to meet you online. Okay, so I didn't choose this, but Vita said that she wanted to touch on Swan Lake, White Swan Concertmaster solo. Is that right? Is that still valid?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is great. I did not choose this, but it's perfect for me because I know this solo very, very well. And we can talk. This is the perfect playground, actually, for vibrato. Yay, look at the love you're getting. Look at the love. Okay, yeah, and David's from the Bay Area, too.
Oh, yes. Right on. Hi.
Yes, totally. You got some locals here. Okay, so let's take a look at what we can do. I'm going to start so you don't feel so on the spot. Okay, so the first note, B flat, right? Am I echoing now? Zero vibrato, okay? I'm just going to show everyone in the room here. Zero vibrato. So this could answer the question, what do you do? Do you let a note ring without vibrato, or do you add vibrato? Okay, there's lots that I can do with just the bow. So that's me not trying so hard, attracting the vibrato. Let me try with my bow, no vibrato. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does everyone notice my bow? I'm doing things with my bow, no vibrato. So I'm still able to shape quite a bit with my bow alone. There's an intensity there, crescendoing. Then I'm going to relax it. I'm going to relax on that long note. Okay, does everyone see? I did it just with bow. Now let's put on some makeup. Okay, let's put on some makeup. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everyone knows my finger is flat, fleshy. Okay, that's the tip I showed you to get richer sound flat. Let me turn this way. Let me turn this way. A long note never stays flat forever. I increase or change the vibrato intensity. There's a shimmer vibrato. Actually, Vita, would you mind muting for a quick second? I think we're echoing. So there's a long note that starts less intensity. There's a continuous vibrato here. And so the vibrato starts and then blossoms on a long note. And then gets flat. You see my finger is quite flat, fleshier. This one had no vibrato. And that one has vibrato. That's a long note and that just develops. Okay, does everyone see what I'm doing? Yeah? The makeup that I'm adding has all these kinds of nuances to it. Vita, what do you think? What do you hear?
It looks beautiful.
What about sounds beautiful? You're gonna give me a sounds beautiful too?
Beautiful, yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. I would like for you to help me demonstrate how we can monkey around with your vibrato. Yeah? Everyone cheer Vita on. Okay, remember? Vita's doing this for the whole world for the first time. We're going to cheer her on. Okay? Yes, I agree, Walter. Walter's also from the Bay Area. Scheherazade would be an excellent example. That's a great example. I'll have to do that next time. Okay, so let's talk about the first phrase and let's see what we can do to change your sound.
Great.
Okay, Vita, let's talk about some of those things. You're sounding great. You're sounding really great. Really, really great. So I remember that you had mentioned to me that you were curious about what you do here. This one, yeah? That's an example of a long phrase that needs to build in intensity. Just so all of the theory curious people out there, this is a diminished chord underneath. That beautiful playing. Look, see? Kendra says beautiful playing. There you go. That's for you, Vita.
Y'all are too kind.
So this consecutive diminished chords needs to build in intensity. How are we going to do that? We can do it with your vibrato. And you have mentioned to me, how can I vary the vibrato in this particular phrase? You'd had, yeah. I would do it in a long note. So if you remember one of the things I said earlier, a long note never stays flat. Never, never, never. What we can do is to make sure that when we want to build the intensity, you can hear in my voice, I'm going like that. How can we do that with left hand? What we can do is go from slow intensity or low intensity to more intensity at the end of the note, and that will help carry the direction of the phrase. So let me see if I can demonstrate them. Here we go. Everyone see what I'm doing with my left hand? So it starts low and slow or something like that anyway. I'm trying to keep my bow speed the same so that I don't apply. I'm trying to keep the variables separate. It's really difficult. Just makeup. I'll show you just makeup. What can we do with makeup? There. Does that show you how I can increase the phrase in direction? Now let me add it with the bow. Slow. Say the bow first. And then the bow speed increases. And that, you see, that one note got a motor vibrato. Yeah? Interesting, right? 2, 3, 4. So then watch the vibrato. It intensifies. That one's a, yeah, you see that? Just that's 4 notes. 4 notes I told the story. Your turn. Yeah? Vita's doing great. Thank you, Walter. Yeah. Okay, let me help. Let me help you on that E flat. I think what we can do is to to increase your range of expression on one note, E flat. You almost had it. You almost had me, but I think you can go further. This E flat. How fast can you make this oscillation? Like almost high fits vibrato. Can you try that? And see, I'm going to challenge you, push you. Yes, that deserves a high five. Yeah? Yeah, that one deserves a high five from me. Yeah. Okay. So now you can play with that. Da, 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 range. You start with low and slow. And you know, people barbecue meat low and slow. That's kind of barbecue low and slow. And then you increase the fire until it becomes microwave tempo. You know, high octane microwave. Yeah. Okay, that's a bit too much. But you know what I mean. And that's pretty a microwave speed there. What am I doing? It's very flat. Very flat. Look at my distal joint. I hope you see my distal joint. It's not. Oh, you hear a difference? I'm pressing. This is me pressing. Very different sound. This is a bit of a flatter. Not flat, 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 and not tip, 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 but something flatter. This is low and wide, but I don't want that, do I? You hear the difference, right? Let's try that one, Vita. That one. Show them what you got. Yes. Do you hear the difference? I've never heard that from you, actually, Vita.
Yeah. Yeah, it's new.
I thought, yeah, you see, it is new. I have not heard that from
Yeah.
you. Okay, so now let's
Yeah.
talk about one of your other questions. I think some other people will have the same question. My vibrato is often too slow and I don't like it. I think you have said that to me, right?
hmm
Okay, so at the top of the phrase, this is where I like to apply, use your ear and do deep listening. Do I want that? And you said no. I think you had implied to me, no, I don't necessarily want that for all my phrases. So if this is too slow, apply your microwave tempo. If you want, go back to low and slow barbecue. Oh, that's too much. If you notice, one of my favorite things to do, and I don't do this like a formula, I do it instinctively, is that when a note dies in organically, like an opera singer, at the end of a long note, it naturally organically decays. But you'll notice that as the bow decays, or let's say reduces in speed and pressure, it's like this. That's what I mean by decay. What happens in the left, what you can do in the left hand to make that sound like an opera singer is this. Just watch the speed of the vibrato now. Wait. What am I doing with the vibrato? Wait, can you tell what I'm doing?
Yeah, it's increasing in speed as your bow is slowing, as decaying.
Would you like to try that kind of color?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it. Yeah. So as that bow slows down, you can go microwave, microwave, microwave speed with and then you can hear what that's called shimmer. So that what that does with your sound, everyone watching here, you can experiment with this at home. When you do a light bow, whispery with a bow, try that sound. What does that sound like when you do a shimmer on the left side? Let me try light with a bow, and then shimmer on the left. Now that's a new color. What color is that? Is that lavender? I don't know what that is. Dusty lavender. Yeah, you want to try that color?
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, my oscillation is tighter than your oscillation. So what can we do to vary the oscillation so that it's a little tighter? So um, here's another tip that I like to share with all of you. When we want to adjust the oscillation of your vibrato, my vibrato is too narrow, I want it wider. My vibrato is too wide, I want it tighter. So a nice rule that I learned actually from Susanna Klein, I watched her YouTube videos on vibrato. I highly recommend them. When you want a wider vibrato, she suggests you open your hand. Let me show it here. Opening your hand, almost like flower. So let's say I want a very wide vibrato. So it almost looks like this finger is cocked out like a gun, but it's not really. It's just opening the hand, the palm. So there. So that changes my sound. Yes. Now you want it to get narrower, so try the converse of that. going like a flower bud, like a rosebud, not yet in bloom. Do you hear the difference in sound? You want to try? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now, as an experiment for everybody, now Vita, show for us how you can go, let's say, from rosebud to full bloom, or vice versa, full bloom to rosebud.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that already tells more of a story. So if we're to be like AI, AI is fantastic for certain things, but if we want to be Siri or Alexa or whatever, this is a robot vibrato. Never changing and stop. Yeah. But you're human, and you and I talked about this. When we speak, not speak. It's not robotic. So when we talk, we have natural inflection in our voice and language. And same with music. This is no inflection. The bow speed remains the same. The vibrato amplitude remains the same. Boring. Very boring. Very boring. Okay, so again. Sorry, my bow skipped a little bit, but you see the point. You see what I was trying to demonstrate.
Yeah.
It starts like this, and then goes into this, and then goes into maybe microwave speed. Yeah. So does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe show us one more time from here. I don't know if you could tell with that kind of vibrato. It was a motor speed, but on a flat tube, flat pad. You want to try?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. See, I heard that beautiful taper on your B
Yeah.
flat. It was beautiful. Now that's
Right.
artistry. That is
Right.
artistry. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me open up some for you. What questions do you have? Like you heard the transformation in that phrase with the vibrato. Do you have any questions about what you just did, or what I did, or what I talked about? Want me to clarify anything?
No, I think it just goes to demonstrate how thoughtfulness has to be placed on each note, because it happens 3 times. So obviously I don't want to bloom too fast, right? So I guess for the first one, maybe the first sequence, I would have maybe a tighter, less oscillation, and even within the middle one, maybe we can go tighter and open a little bit and come back, and then full throttle maybe for the third one. So I think that's trying to put that together, and how can we shape this in a way that maybe, I don't know if this is right to say, but I don't blow my bloom all in the first
That's right.
sequence, just, yeah.
That's right. That's exactly what I would go through in an artistic process as well. Am I giving my full octane, high octane vibrato too soon? And that's your artistic license to decide when you will deliver that. So you have a long, super long phrase. So yeah, you can start to pace, and this is where it gets fun, because now we're getting into deeper artistry. So like I said at the top of the workshop, this is a workshop on artistry, how you can use vibrato to color your own artistic interpretation. And so I can hear, and I think everyone heard the transformation in your phrase just by that shift alone. So thank you
Right.
so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so
I
much.
really appreciate you
that.
helping me out today, because I feel like I couldn't have done that without you. So I will take questions. So Vita, you're off the hook now. You can chill. You can relax now. Go chill. You can relax. Vita was so brave to come online with me. That was her first time doing that with me. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So before I go into question and answer, I would like to ask you to now. I want everyone to be mindful of what you're learning, because I don't want you to forget what you're learning. I need you to come and take away something that you can implement. Okay, so today was about vibrato and tone. Okay, so I want you to think and be sure you think carefully here about what you're going to take away from today. Okay, so what we're going to take away from today, let's see, where is my thing? Here it is. Here we go. Okay, so the question is, what's your biggest takeaway today? All right, so think about the one thing that shifted your approach to vibrato. I went through a lot of let's say topics or variables or things that could be of help to you, tips, tricks, nuances that you can do. Think about what you picked up today. Type it in the chat, and I'll let you know that one of my mantras is what gets written down gets remembered. So go ahead, think about that because this will help you change your technique. Sarah says the raw chicken thumb. I like that one. That one helped me a lot too. I still work on that because when I want to be expressive, I tighten into a frozen chicken breast. Karina says distal joint flexibility will be something I work on, and I still work on that one too. Okay, so these two I really think helped me a lot. Anyone else? What's your biggest takeaway that you will take from today? Okay, whether it's, let's see, Yajing bow decay while changing the vibrato speed. Yes, that's one of my favorites. I hear that a lot in my class when I coach people on their excerpts or their concertos. You can really get a beautiful, beautiful sound and end of phrase when you apply that kind of color. Ellen says using the distal joint or finger pad for richer sound, and vibrato as makeup, fantastic. The bow, Kendra says the bow helps shape the vibrato as well. Yes, combining the two, they are like brother and sister. They're like twins. They came together into the world and they never really depart from each other. Joyce, I never considered that bowing worked together to make vibrato sound beautiful. They are the two variables that you can manipulate to create infinite number of sounds. So yeah, they can work together quite magically if you know how to artistically apply them. Maria says a knuckle collapse and using more flesh for fatter, juicier sound. Good, excellent. Grace says varying the bow speed, weight with type of vibrato. Fiddler 49 Penny, love the flower opening imagery. Thank you. I did not come up with that. I'll give Susanna the credit for that. Michael, hi Michael. I love how you think so much about how you use vibrato throughout each note to enhance the expression of music. 100%. So yeah, Care Bear, hello. Distal joint. Yes, also creating a phrase using the bow and then adding vibrato. Yes. Thank you for articulating that so beautifully. Using the bow to shape your phrase first. Do it naked. Everyone, take away this. This is your biggest. Well, if this is one of your biggest takeaways today, I'll be so proud. Shape it with your bow first, then put your makeup on. And I'll use the analogy that I used the last time. You need to have clean and healthy skin first before you put foundation on. Okay, for those of you who apply makeup, you know you've heard that before. It's the same applies to violin playing. Okay, Serena says blooming the left hand for different types of vibrato. Fantastic. Yes, you love the analogy of makeup and spices. Good. I'm glad. Okay, good. So this is great. I'm glad you have these good takeaways. So take away these, transform your playing, all right? Now, another question. You have to think about what would you like to go deeper on? Obviously, we touched one aspect of your sound. Remember, I said the bow was part of it, and that I covered a whole topic on a separate workshop on the bow technique. Vita and I didn't get to cover bow speed today, right? And unfortunately, I didn't get to cover bow speed, just the makeup, right? But we want to know what it takes. So think about what you can still go forward inside of your playing, okay? We just covered vibrato, and I want you to think about this is the start of the journey, okay? I want you to think how you can move forward to address it. Now, if you found today's workshop helpful and you have further questions, here's how we can keep that going together. Because small adjustments like this, as you heard with Vita, made a huge difference, right? You heard it yourself. So for example, I've helped Nathaniel get a full scholarship at Rice, and he got into a master's degree. And if you're curious about what's possible, I am willing and happy and eager to help you. For example, I helped Danny win Concertmaster with her orchestra. So for you, I have a special invitation today. I am offering a free S.T.A.M.P assessment. What's a S.T.A.M.P assessment? So this is a free 45 to 60-minute call, and it's not a lesson. It's not a sales call. It's a personalized consultation that you can book with me so that we can talk about you and your playing goals. So we can talk about your vibrato, or we can talk about other things in your playing that you're concerned about. So why I call it a S.T.A.M.P assessment is because I take a look at many different variables that are affecting your playing. So I would like to take a look at your setup. Sometimes it's if you're comfortable and that's affecting how you sound. Sometimes it's your technique. We'll take a look at your left hand. Is it tight? Are you clenching? Do you have poor hand frame? We'll take a look at your bow technique. Are you unable to control bow speed? I would like to take a look at those things to see how we can move you forward. Then I also work with people on their mindset. So this is super important because if you're sabotaging your own playing with, let's say, self-defeating thoughts, lack of confidence, not believing in yourself, I also like and love to talk about this. Then we'll also talk about how muscle tension is perhaps influencing your technique. That's one of my favorite topics as well. And then we'll also take a look at your playing posture. Okay, so that's what a S.T.A.M.P assessment call is all about. You can actually book that call on my calendar. You're going to leave with a personalized action plan, specific strategies that I will help you come up with, and my recommendations. And if we're a good fit, I will give you an invitation to join my VIP coaching program. This call is for serious high-level violinists. You're, let's say, pre-professional or professional, or you're an amateur playing at a very high level. You want to level up, either as a performer or as a teacher. So I can help you just like I helped Luke win 2 jobs. If you're in that situation where you're looking to compete for work, then I can certainly help you. Because if you're accepted as a VIP, I will personally walk you through your path to achieve your goals. Just like all of these people here who I've helped win auditions, get into schools, change their technique. So these are all the people that I've helped. And if you're not a fit for my VIP coaching program, you'll still get a personalized plan from me for your success. So I encourage you to book a call. And if you do so within the first 24 hours after seeing this, I'm going to give you a fast action bonus of an extra free private coaching with me. So I will give that to you as my gift. Okay, you're going to spend an hour with me and I will dissect your technique with you. So those of you who would like to do that, book it now within the next 24 hours. The link is here at lynnkuo.com/free-call. Okay, or scan the QR code. There is. I'll give you some time. I will be taking a Q&A, doing a Q&A, so stay with me while I take some more questions, and I'm happy to answer them as we go. So therefore, let's see. Do I have any more slides? Yeah, there we go. This might be my last one. So book your free S.T.A.M.P assessment, scan the QR code, and it will take you to a page where you're going to fill out just a few questions so I can understand a bit more about you. And that way I can get a sense of where you are. If you're not a suitable fit for the coaching program, you may be directed elsewhere to a better resource than me, because I happen to specialize in higher level violinists and not beginners. Okay, just so you know. Okay, so let me leave that QR code up for a second. And let's see, actually, I'm going to give Vita one more chance to come on stage. Vita, are you ready? You're going to get the first question. You get that, you get first dibs. Boom. There you are.
Hi.
Hi.
What was the question? My
What's the
question?
first question? Okay, first of all, while you're thinking of your question, I want everybody to start asking their questions on vibrato. I'm happy to answer them. There were a couple up there, so you may have to repeat them. Karina's laughing about the guys learning about makeup today. Yep. So I think I'll have to scroll. But Vita, while I'm looking at the questions up above, please everyone type your question. I'm hoping that I can get to your question. But Vita, I'll give you your first dibs on asking the first question.
When you're trying to increase, I think you kind of talked about this, but like when you're trying to increase the oscillations on maybe a not ready to bloom flower, how do you reduce the tension in your shoulder and just kind of keep it tight?
Okay, perfect. Okay, because this one is going to help address Maria's question. Fourth finger vibrato in the upper register, and also vibrato with double stops and not tensing up. Okay, yes, I get tense too. So that is an excellent question, and one I also struggle with. But one of the things that has helped is what I talk about in my YouTube tutorial, and I'm going to remove you, Vita, just so I have more real estate on the screen. Okay, thank you for the question. So what I think of when I want to reduce tension is to make sure that I'm scanning my body for where the tension lies. So, like I said, the distal joint can get stiff and the thumb can get frozen and stiff. So those are 2 areas that you can scan. Another one is inside the hand. So if you can scan inside of your palm, is your palm soft, like that raw chicken breast. So let's do a double stop, just like that question from Maria. Okay, so here we go. Naturally, a double stop will feel tight in the hand. So how do we get this to be less tight? There's very little that I can do to soften that thumb because it's a double stop, because you need that counter pressure to hold this double stop. So there will be some, let's say, counter pressure from the thumb. I'm not going to lie. But how much is necessary? You can subtract what you don't need. So this is me squeezing. Let me subtract some of that. Okay, so that's about as minimum as I need there. Now, the next thing that Vita asked about tension. Now, what I do next, okay, after I scan maybe the finger and the hand, is to go through the entire arm structure. This is going down to more like biomechanics and kinesiology and basic left hand technique. When I talk about left hand or any technique, whether it's right hand or left hand technique, I always consider the entire arm structure, and this goes all the way to the pectoral muscle and the back and the neck, even the face. Scan. Imagine if I played vibrato with a very, very, very tight face and jaw. Squeezing my face. That's not going to help me. Okay, so I'm going to loosen my face. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah? Does that make sense to everybody? So finding ways to reduce tension in your whole body. The next thing I'm going to do is the thumb here. The next thing I'm going to do is scan forearm. Is the forearm tight? That's tight. That changes my sound already. Loosen the forearm there. So now I'm more conscious of the bicep. Now try that. Just think of the bicep. Yeah. Next thing I'm going to scan is actually the deltoid, the anterior deltoid here. Is this tightening up or is it released? So if I do that released deltoid here, released. So even here, you can see, I don't know if you can tell here, I'll remove this handkerchief. If I squeeze, can you see the squeeze? Squeeze. Now try to do vibrato. Squeeze my face. Squeeze my chicken breast thumb. You can tell the sound is starting to get a little different. Yeah, I'm going to loosen my face first. Loosen my chin, my jaw. Loosen my thumb a little bit. Loosen the forearm a little bit. And loosen the pectoral muscle. And then feel my armpit. Marguerite, that's my problem, clenching my lipstick. Yes, okay. So I hope I'm answering your question. I want everyone to think, how does body tension contribute to the tightness of my vibrato? Tightness of vibrato will influence the amplitude of your vibrato and also the tone. So what you can do is do that body scan while you're vibrating and seeing how much you can subtract. And I've talked about this in my previous workshop called muscle tension. Yeah, and muscle tension and performance anxiety. I've had 2 workshops like that. Here's a more relaxed version. And let's say I want to speed up the oscillation. I go narrower, but not necessarily tighter. It's hard for me not to tighten here to do a smaller oscillation, but this might be one of those things where you have to sacrifice yourself a little bit. I'm going to be tight just for a few notes and then subtract it when I can. Yeah, sometimes I have to do that too. Sometimes we do need don't need it, but sometimes tension will accumulate, and then find a way to release that pressure cooker when you can. Okay? Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Vita. Sort of? Yeah? Okay, kind of? Okay. So I think I answered Marguerite's question about reducing tension. So in the thumb, in the hand, in the neck, in the face, in the jaw, in the pec. Yeah, I talk about that. There's Kendra. I like to explore wrist vibrato and how it differs in sound from arm vibrato. Would you use both types in one piece of music? Yes. Now, this is an interesting question. Wrist vibrato, arm vibrato, finger vibrato, you hear those terms. And I like to merge them all into one family of vibrato. So we start with how do I put this? We start with exploring how you can how you can develop the range of your oscillation. And that is going to come from the freedom of your entire arm structure. Let me go back to the pectoral muscle all the way here. Even a wrist vibrato or finger vibrato will necessitate you being free here. Here, okay? I'm going to tap here again, right here. So even if I do a, let's say, finger vibrato, let me do a tight here. See, you can see my getting tight. I can do a sort of mini oscillation finger, but if I loosen that, there, you see me loosening my, there. Do you hear the difference? There. Okay. So yes, we can do different oscillations, different amplitudes. Let me call it this way. We can do different amplitudes. So you being able to go from a small amplitude, which is quasi finger, I suppose, it still necessitates the entire arm structure to be unified and relaxed. This is a small oscillation. A little wider and slower. So it's not necessarily a wrist. Wrist is like this. This down below the wrist is kind of frozen, right? And to be honest, I don't like the width of the oscillation. It's too wobbly. Okay. Now, if I say arm vibrato, then what I'll do is I'll release. Everyone see me release my pectoral muscle and there. So then I'll free up the entire arm, all the way almost to the neck. If you picture that to the neck, then you can sort of think of it as a whole arm. There. Does everyone see the difference? Going all the way down to this elbow joint. Now, if I, let's say, stop from here, there, and then start from here, I mean, you can sort of think of them as different ways, but what I'm doing here in this narrow oscillation is this part here. The front of my deltoid is free. And as I am able to widen and slow, and there, see, it becomes more like a arm. And so, yes, you can use all three. Basically, it's a continuum, a spectrum. So going from, let's say, microwave speed, which is, like finger, wrist, or whatever, all the way to this arm, big arm vibrato. But even an arm vibrato can be quite narrow. Let me see, this is an arm, yeah. This is sort of an arm vibrato that's narrow. And this is a wrist vibrato that's quite wide. Let's see here. Yeah. So I think developing these exercises that I mentioned and referenced, the distal joint, the knuckle collapse, right? Also, one of my favorites, by the way, is washing the string. Washing the string is where you pretend you're taking a cloth and you're washing your string like this. If you notice what I'm doing, I want you to take a look at what I'm doing. I'm going to move this. So this part is free. This part is free. And then you can see here that this elbow joint is going close, open, close, open, close, open, close. So it's not just here. See that? Vibrato just doesn't come from here. It comes here. Wash the string. And then you start to see that this is also high, bye, high. This is waving high, bye. So the whole arm, this is what I mean by vibrato. It requires the whole entire arm structure to be free. So even if it's a tiny oscillation here, you're still feeling free, no tension, especially the chicken breast thumb. Okay, so then when you do this washing the string, you can start washing from here, and see, all the way into the armpit. So washing the string, now you see how floppy the wrist is? This is one of my favorite vibrato exercises when I get tight. Now, while you're doing this washing the string exercise, pretend someone's going to pin your finger to the string while you continue to do this. Ready? Pin. There. I'm pinning my finger to the fingerboard. I'm trying to continue the washing the string exercises. See, my thumb is loose. And then pin the thumb. You see, this is still going. Am I making sense? And as I still keep going, trying to wash the string, remember the exercise we did with the distal joint, how we made it flexible, knuckle collapse? Because I'm trying to wash my string, see, whoa, blink, whip, that's your vibrato. Does that make sense? Give me a high five if that makes sense. I want a high five in the comments, please. Am I making sense? That idea of a spectrum? Oh, good. Okay, good. I'm glad that makes sense. Okay. When utilizing the finger collapse, with the fourth finger in the upper register? Is that motion limited to the finger joint, or does it extend to the wrist and or forearm as well? That's a very good question. So, okay, this is one of my favorite topics about fourth finger vibrato in the upper register. I've talked about this before. I'll talk about it again. So when we do, this is my secret about fourth finger vibrato in the high register. I have a stubby fourth finger. It's short, and we are all taught to have a curve, yeah, an arch in the left hand. But listen to the arch. As remember, I said the tip versus the flesh will sound different. This is my tip. This is my flesh. Flat. I don't want to say flat because it gives you sort of the impression that it's poor technique. It's fleshier. Okay, let's call it fleshier versus tip. Fingertip on the fourth finger versus flesh. Now, I personally like the sound of my vibrato when I have more flesh on my pinky. So this is what I actually learned from Nicola Benedetti. Nikki Benedetti. She has a fantastic vibrato tutorial on YouTube, and I thank her for this tip. So washing the string exercise helps me in this. So the wash of my string is with the, let's say, the open and closing of my arm, and then the fourth finger kind of remains a flesh position. You see, I'm actually hyperextended now. So while I flatten the fourth finger, I try to wash the string. Wash the string. It can be too wide easily. It can easily be too wide, like this. You start here, and then you're going to pin that note until it behaves, until you like it. There it is. So now what I feel is let's say a horseshoe connection between this finger and the thumb, the contact of the thumb with the neck. So it's like an energy point on the thumb, an energy point on the pinky, and those two energy points work together for this. While I'm trying to wash the string. Does that make sense? There it is. And luckily, no one's going to hold this note for a whole 4 beats or something. You're only going to need it for a short period of time. If you need it for a long time, just play the third finger. Because I can sustain a third finger vibrato more easily than a fourth finger. Does that make sense? Does that help you did I answer your question? I hope I answered your question. Maria, did I answer your question about fourth finger vibrato in the upper register? Does it extend to the wrist and or forearm as well? Washing the string, so I'm basically opening and closing from the elbow. Yeah, and almost freezing, if that makes sense. Yeah? Maria, did I answer your question? Please give me a yes. I'm trying. I'm trying. Let's see. Tips to relieve tension in the left hand. I did cover that. So one thing that I think helps me is to remind myself when I get tight, is the this across the palm. Think of it as soft, melting. Another tip that I find helpful is to think of each fingertip like a peach. That helps me too. So soft across the bottom here, right across the bottom knuckles, and then peach. That helps me reduce a lot of tension. You can tell my sound sounds a little bit warm now. It sounds a little more chill because it's more relaxed. Okay. I think this is a complicated question. Alex, how can we reduce the activation threshold, the amount of force or tension required to begin vibrato motion effectively? I think that's going to come with developing control. That comes with developing control of your vibrato technique. Meaning, if you can only control vibrato when it's big, but you can't control it when it's small, then we need to start building the other side of the spectrum. So Kendra, I remember you said you liked the idea of the spectrum. Let's say one person has a spectrum that's very comfortable in this end of the spectrum, big, 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 wide, wide, wide. You're only comfortable at this end of the spectrum, but you're not comfortable with this end of the spectrum, right? I hope I'm answering this question correctly. But if we start here, so here's another example of an exercise. This is pretending the fingertip is a peach, and you're rolling over the surface of your peach. And as you can develop the range of your oscillation, making it tinier, this is reducing the activation threshold, how much effort it takes to make an oscillation, right? I'm going very minimally. So I'm practicing the movement pattern from this edge of the finger to this edge of the finger, this edge of the finger to this edge of the finger. And then you can make it smaller, faster, etc. Like this, until it's microscopic. Thumb, again, raw chicken breast. Okay, sorry, let me get a more consistent, a more meatier sound with my bow, sorry. Here we go. So bigger, you're rolling along the edge of your peach. Then you make it smaller, tinier. Faster. A little quicker. Now you see, I've actually put the second finger down. Now I'm training continuous vibrato. What if I put the first finger down? Does that make sense? Yeah, it's developing control. Developing control from one range of the spectrum to the other range of the spectrum. So you need just to practice how you can control. One of my inspirations is actually watching, oh boy, I've forgotten her name, percussionist. She's hearing impaired. What's her name? Beverly? Oh, I forgot her name. In any case, I heard her control a snare drum. It was in a snare drum concerto. And she went from this for about a whole minute. And she controlled a crescendo until it reached the apex. And it was just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. So that's the type of control that we can aspire to. Okay? Well, I think we're running almost to an hour and a half. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sticking with me this long. And thank you again to Vita. I hope that you've learned quite a bit from today's workshop. Let me know. Evelyn Glennie, thank you. That's what it is. That's who she was. Mind-blowing. I saw her when I was in Aspen play a snare drum concerto. And that's my inspiration, being able to control that kind of vibrato, this oscillation, until it becomes an ocean wave. Yeah, that's the inspiration. So if you can work on some of these tips, so being able to control from very small oscillation to a very big oscillation, and speeds, everything in between, considering the tension that might accumulate anywhere in your body, including the face, including the pec and the shoulder and the arm, inside the hand, the distal joint, etc. So thank you so much for sticking with me on Sunday. For those of you who want to work with me, I'm going to put the QR code there one more time for you. Please scan that if you'd like to get a free lesson, a bonus lesson with me. I'm happy to answer your questions in private. And stay tuned for the next free workshop. I hope I will see you all soon, and I hope to work with you inside my VIP coaching program. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful Sunday, and I hope that you will book a call ASAP. Okay, take care. Oh, one more comment. I see you with. Oh, there we go. Yes. Thank you, Kendra. Working with Lynn is an amazing experience. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. Take care, everybody.